Welcome to Gardening with Ben, the podcast where we dig into the soil of our gardens and the depths of our green thumbs. I'm your host Ben, here to guide you through the joys of gardening, from sowing seeds to reaping bountiful harvests. Each episode will explore tips, tricks and tales from the garden and allotment, sharing insights from ourselves and stories from our own back garden adventures. Whether you're a seasoned gardener or just getting your hands dirty for the first time, there's something here for everyone. So grab your brew and gardening gloves and let's get growing with Gardening with Ben. Hello and welcome to our episode of What Jobs Need Doing in the Garden and Allotment in February. So this podcast is going to talk about all the different jobs that we need to be getting done, ready for the springtime and ready for the things to start growing. If you didn't listen to yesterday's episode, make sure you do have a listen to it, because we was talking about all the things that you can start to grow in February. So make sure you go back and listen to that episode after this one. So as the winter chills linger and the first signs of springs began to emerge, February stands as a pivotal month for gardeners and allotment holders alike. It's time of preparation, planning and early planting, a month where the groundwork laid can set the tone for the fruitful months ahead. In this episode of Gardening with Ben, we delve into the essential gardening and allotment jobs that beckon our attention in February. From the wakeful stretch of the dormant beds to the promise held within each seed packet, February's tasks are as varied and as they are vital. We'll explore how to protect your budding aspirations from late frost, the art of chitting potatoes in anticipation of their planting, and the precise timing to sow the seeds of success for early vegetables and flowers. Pruning takes precedence as well, with fruit trees and bushes needing careful attention to shape that year's growth. Meanwhile, the soil itself calls for enrichment, whether through addition of well-rotted manure or careful planning of crop rotation, ensuring your land remains fertile and production. Join us as we guide you through these February tasks, sharing tips and advice from our own tales of the soil. Whether you're a seasoned gardener or beginning to cultivate your green thumb, this episode is packed with the insights and help your garden will thrive for the coming year. So sit back, relax and grab yourself a brew and a notepad, and we'll get talking about what we need to do down at the allotment. So as I said, the best thing to do is have a notepad ready, because we'll be talking about all the tasks what need to be done at the allotment and garden in February. And as you know, I do like to make a note of things so that I can tick them off once they're completed, and then you know you've done them, you know you've got them out of the way, and them jobs are done, and then you can concentrate on all the other jobs that need doing down at the allotment and in the garden. So we're going to talk about what jobs need to be done this month down at the allotment and garden. And we'll do it in three sections: what needs to be done in the vegetable garden, what needs to be done in the fruit garden, and what needs to be done in the flower garden. So yeah, let's delve into today's episode. So there's not much to be done in the vegetable garden because there's not much growing at the moment, and there's only a few little jobs that we need doing. So this month, if you're growing asparagus, you need to put some mulch around them. Adding mulch will give them that extra start to the year and give them that extra strut in growing and getting some fantastic crops from them. So put a bit of mulch around them to give them that fruit into the soil of what they need to get growing. Next up is beds. Prepare your allotment and kitchen garden beds by weeding them, turning them over and covering them with plastic to warm them up, ready for growing this year. And once you've got them all weeded, you can hopefully keep on top of them with a hoe and keep them weed free, if only. Next up are potatoes. If you've not started chitting your potatoes, then now is the perfect time to be doing so on the allotment and garden for the year. So yeah, I usually start chitting my potatoes because it gives them that extra little start, ready for planting out in Good Friday, because I always plant my potatoes out on Good Friday. It's a rule I've stuck by. It's an old gardener's tale, but it's something that I've always stuck by. So that's everything that you need to do in the vegetable garden this month. Like I said, not many jobs, but I usually use these months as preparing ready for the months ahead. Next up is fruit trees and fruit bushes. So if you've got apple trees, these can still be pruned while the trees are still dormant. They'll start waking up in March, April time, so now is the time to prune them back. Black currants. Prune these if you've not done so, ready for the year's growth. Fruit bushes. If you've got fruit bushes, add some potassium fertilizer this month on your fruit bushes for great growth this year. Gooseberries, if you've not pruned them, again, you can still do that this month. Same goes for pear trees, get them pruned as well. Raspberries, this is the last month that you can prune your raspberries. Autumn varieties can be pruned to the ground. Summer varieties you leave last year's growth for the fruit, but prune the canes which had fruit on them last year. And trim off the tops of your new growth to make them bush out more. Red currants and black currants can both be pruned as well this month. Rhubarb. If you're wanting an early crop of rhubarb, why not try forcing it? It's not something I do. I let mine grow all natural. And yeah, if you wanted an earlier crop, try forcing it. Strawberries. If you wanted an early crop of strawberries, cover them with a cloche and that will start them growing faster. Not something I do, I just usually wait until they're ready, but if you wanted an earlier crop, cover them with a cloche to keep them warm. Stone fruit, protect blossoms on nectarines, apricots and peaches from cold weather with a fleece. So that's all the jobs which you can do in February in the fruit garden. Again, not too many jobs. I usually add a winter wash on my fruit trees as well, which protects them from the moths and from insects, and it just gives them that little bit extra protection from them being nibbled and eaten away. So what can we do in the flower garden? Again, there's not many jobs be done this month in the flower garden. There's not many jobs to do in the garden at the moment at all, but the jobs that need doing in the flower garden are clematis. These can be pruned back now, ready for the months ahead. So prune your summer clematis back this month. Fuchsias, these can be pruned back to 2 buds on each shoot this month, ready for the month ahead. And heathers can also be pruned back as well. If you're growing pansies, make sure you keep deadheading them, because the more you deadhead them, the more they'll carry on flowering. If you let them grow and you've not deadheaded them, they'll go to seed and then they'll start dying off for the year ahead. So make sure you deadhead them and it will keep the continuous growth growing on the allotment. So that's everything that can be done in the flower garden. Like I said, not many jobs to be done at all down at the allotment this month. But I usually use this month as a time for preparation for the year ahead. What I will do is I'll repair all the beds, I'll get them all painted, I'll tidy my paths up, any fencing that's blowing down or any rotted posts, I'll replace all them, get them all ready. There's always plenty of jobs to be done down at the allotment. And the same goes for like in your greenhouse. You can be washing your plant pots, your seed trays, disinfecting it all, killing off any bugs that may be hiding around, and any diseases as well, because you wouldn't want any diseases in your new plants. So get them all washed and get them all ready, because next month is going to be a very busy month of doing it. So this episode has been a very short episode on all the jobs what need doing in February in the garden and allotment. I hope you've enjoyed it. Make sure you click that follow button, make sure you click that subscribe button, and then you'll be able to stay up to date with all these episodes what we put up on here on the allotment. And yeah, make sure you go back and listen to all the other episodes as well, because there's plenty of episodes on here. I hope you've enjoyed it. Remember to leave a review, as that does help push out the podcast. So make sure you come back tomorrow for tomorrow's podcast. And remember, keep smiling, keep shining, and keep gardening with Ben, everybody. And that wraps up another episode of Gardening with Ben. Thank you for joining me in this journey. Remember, every seed planted is a step towards a greener world, and every day is a chance to grow something beautiful. Keep nurturing your gardens and your souls. Until next time, I'm Gardening with Ben, reminding you to let your garden be your sanctuary. Happy gardening and see you in the next episode. Remember, keep smiling, keep shining, and keep gardening with